Hi guys, sorry I'm late. The electricity came back on. It was just too late to do the auction. We'll have the auction tomorrow night. Hope everybody can make it. And it was just too late, and I am so tired. Ow. Now my arm and my wrist hurt like crazy. I don't know what the heck it is, but I'm going to try to get through this. Hope everybody can make it. Let me see. I don't know why my wrist now just started hurting so bad. What the heck is going on with me? Okay. Ow. Dang. Okay. Okay, let's do a recap from Karen retrial Friday the 16th of May. Okay. So, all right. Ouch. Forensic analysts from the Massachusetts State Police Crime Lab were on the stand in the Karen Reed murder trial on Friday. Okay, and so this is a lot of DNA evidence and stuff that was given. So let me just get a graphic up here so we know we are on Karen Reed. Karen Reed. There we go. Okay. All right, so we had Andre Porto, part of the DNA unit at the State Police Crime Lab. He talked about DNA evidence that was recovered in the case. He was followed up by Ashley Valliere, whose testimony focused on the broken taillight pieces and the debris that was recovered from John O'Keefe's clothing. Judge Beverly Cannoni also ruled on two outstanding complaints concerning discovery disclosures, one from the defense and one from the prosecution. She ruled after hearing arguments late Thursday afternoon and an update earlier in court on Friday. She ruled on two issues concerning discovery disclosures. As a reminder, the defense was arguing to exclude an amended report received on May 11th from prosecution witness Sharon Burgess with Aperture. They had asked for a voir dire. Burgess saying, based on the new report, they had concerns about a sequestration order being broken. This is referring to a rule that other witnesses should not hear evidence being presented during other witness testimony. Cannoni said she did not find ample proof that there was a delayed discovery, and she will not hold the voir dire. She did say the defense has the opportunity during cross to drill down or questions of what Burgess knew when he knew it and whether the sequestration order was in question. All of this is ample game for cross-examination, Cannoni noted, saying she will give a lot of leeway for the defense on that matter. She added that if, after direct questioning of Burgess, the defense feels they need more time to recall certain witnesses, she will hear their arguments. A second ruling was made concerning new information from the forensic firm ARCA, ARCCA. The Commonwealth argued that some information on the ARCCA analysis was provided well after discovery deadlines, and prosecution witnesses needed time to review it. The prosecution witness in question, Dr. Judson Welcher of Aperture, is expected to testify next week or early the following week. Cannoni ruled that based on this timeline, she will allow a limited rebuttal from the prosecution witnesses after that testimony. Cannoni added the objections are noted and dismissed the attorneys wrapping court up for the day. She released the jury for the day. She also reminded them that next week court will be a half a day on Thursday and off on Friday. Let's see. So let's go on about these, about the DNA here. Andre Porto, part of the DNA unit at the State Police Crime Lab, testified about the DNA swab that was taken from the taillight of Karen Reed's SUV. He said he was able to generate a DNA profile from that swab, which he said matched 3 contributors, one of them, he said, which was highly likely to be John O'Keefe. He said there was also 2 unknown contributors. He testified about a DNA analysis he conducted on a hair found on the exterior of Karen Reed's SUV. He said his conclusion was that no human DNA was detected. He said there might have been human DNA, but it was below the level that his lab could detect. Porto also conducted DNA testing on the broken drinking glass found at 34 Fairview Road and concluded that there were 3 DNA contributors, one of which was highly likely to have originated from John O'Keefe, along with 2 other unknown contributors. Okay. Porto also testified about a stain found on the upper right leg of John O'Keefe's jeans. He said that there were 3 DNA contributors found, one of which highly likely to be John O'Keefe. From there, he testified about 4 other stains found on the upper right leg of O'Keefe's jeans. These DNA profiles were also found to be from multiple contributors, and each of them had a DNA profile which was found to be highly likely to be John O'Keefe's. He also tested some unstained area of the exterior of O'Keefe's jeans. This also showed a mixture of 4 DNA contributors, and he said again, one of the contributors was highly likely to be John O'Keefe. He then testified about tests conducted on the stained and unstained areas of O'Keefe's long-sleeve shirt and said that he concluded there was DNA on the shirt that was highly likely to be O'Keefe's. He also testified about analysis he conducted on the stain from O'Keefe's sneaker and 3 stains on the long-sleeve shirt, which he said were deemed not suitable for comparison because there were too many contributors. The prosecution said they had nothing further for Porto. The forensic scientist testifying, defense attorney David Yannetti, asked questions and wanted to know if Porto was ever asked to do any DNA comparison of any pieces of taillight that were connected with the case. Yannetti asking about the 3 DNA contributors to the passenger side taillight. One was John O'Keefe. Yannetti wants to know who the others were. The other 2. They could be anybody, Porto said. Yannetti now wants to know if Porto was asked to compare the DNA profiles to the Canton Police Detective Kevin Albert or Kenneth Berkowitz. And I was not, he said. Now Yannetti wants to know about a broken drinking glass that was analyzed by Porto, which also had 3 contributors. One of them was John O'Keefe. Porto again says he doesn't know. They could be anybody as to the other 2. Yannetti is asking if he was ever asked to compare to Boston Police Sergeant Brian Albert or ATF Agent Brian Higgins. I was not, Porto said. Yannetti switches to asking about the stains on the jeans that John O'Keefe was wearing on the night he died. There were again 3 contributors, one of them being O'Keefe. Porto again says the other 2, I don't know, they could be anybody. Yannetti continues asking if Porto knew who other DNA contributors on specific pieces of evidence. Porto continues to say he doesn't know. They could be anybody. There were 4 DNA contributors to the unstained part of John O'Keefe's genes, one being John O'Keefe, but Porto doesn't know who the other 3 are. Now, Yannetti has Porto admit he cannot determine when these DNA profiles were deposited on these items, like the passenger side taillight. Porto said he was not aware the vehicle was O'Keefe's girlfriend, Karen Reed. Yannetti is asking Porto about a shoe that had at least 5 DNA contributors, in which case Porto says they aren't able to compare samples because of protocol, so he cannot say if the DNA there was found on the shoe that belonged to O'Keefe. Porto has no idea who contributed any DNA to that sneaker. Okay, Yannetti asked about O'Keefe's long sleeve shirt, and which had 2 DNA contributors, one being O'Keefe, the other one was not known by Porto. Porto says he was never asked to compare DNA from Brian Higgins or Brian Albert to the stains on O'Keefe's clothing. Yannetti is now asking who Porto sent his reports to. Was it Michael Proctor? The prosecution objected, and the judge told jurors to strike the question. Yannetti said he had no more questions for Porto. Assistant Norfolk District Attorney Adam Lally was back up for a brief redirect, and then Porto was finished. They called a new witness. Ashley Valliere came to the stand. She works for the Massachusetts State Police Crime Laboratory. She's being asked where she went to school, what she specializes in, how she does her analysis. She said she was asked to do a physical match analysis, in this case, over 10 items, and later asked to do some trace recovery. She talked about how things were packaged when she received them. Valliere says they were in large paper bags, and each of them was individually packaged in a smaller brown paper bag within that container. She discussed a series of photographs that are being shown in the courtroom. The first is a brown paper bag associated with Reed's passenger side taillight. Many other pictures are being shown of the taillight pieces and evidence packaging. She's describing pieces of plastic that were red and black and recovered from 34 Fairview Road. Another evidence packaging shown in court shows that taillight evidence was collected by Trooper Michael Proctor. There it is. There's that. Here's some others. Those are evidence photos. Lally is asking Valliere about her process, including what she does with the evidence and how she takes notes. She says that she notes things like the size, color, and material of items recovered. In this case, one of the broken taillight pieces, she checks to see if any of them fit together. Some of the pieces shown below fit together at the edges. This shows that there were once a single item. This is called a physical match analysis. Okay. After a morning break, Valliere is back on the stand. Lally is asking more questions about her analysis process. She's talking about how the broken pieces of plastic recovered from 34 Fairview fit together. That's how they established the pieces were once part of a larger unit. Okay. Yannetti begins the cross-examination. He first asked about DNA testing and when it was done. DNA analysis is typically done before Valier receives the items, which she testifies is what happened in this case. Yannetti asked if she was aware that there were 3 DNA contributors from the taillight. She says she was not. Questioning then turns to her reconstruction of the taillight pieces. Valier testifies that the taillight she reconstructed had a missing spot. Yannetti begins asking if she has ever provided or told about the pieces of taillight recovered from One Meadow Avenue in Canton. That is O'Keefe's address. She says no. He then asks if she was ever made aware of a collision at One Meadows Avenue. The prosecution objects, and it is sustained. Yannetti now turns to O'Keefe's clothing. Valier testifies that she never saw the clothing itself and that she only did the analysis on the debris. He's now asking about the chain of custody procedures. Valier said she has confidence in the chain of custody procedures. Valier is testifying about the procedures and how they differentiate whether evidence was seized by a member of the lab team or other law enforcement. Yannetti then asks who first obtained O'Keefe's clothing. She says she doesn't know and is asked to check her report. After checking, she says the clothing was submitted by former trooper Michael Proctor. Oh boy. Yannetti is pressing whether Valier can vouch for what happened to that clothing before it came to her. She confirms she cannot. She had a brief redirect, and then she was done with her testimony. And that was that day in court, so that was pretty brief then. Let's see. P. Diddy's Friday recap. Okay. All right. So we have hold on, I'm just changing the graphic. Okay, in court there were 2 instances discussed where Sean Combs suspected that Cassie was cheating on him. He found out you were dancing with another person in the entertainment industry. Do you remember the incident where he suspected you of dancing with Chris Brown? Estavio asked of the 2013 instance. Ventura said she didn't remember the incident, but she said she was not dancing with the singer. Estavio showed an exhibit to help jog Cassie's memory of a time when Sean allegedly took the Me and You singer's phone after he suspected her of dancing with Chris Brown. After looking at the evidence, Cassie said, "It says that in the message, but I don't really remember it." Cassie is close friends with Karrueche Tran, the actress and model who won a 5-year restraining order against her ex-boyfriend Brown in 2017. There was another instance in August of 2016 where Sean Combs took Cassie's phone when he suspected she was dating someone else. At this point, we were not in a great place. She said, "I was dating someone else." But one day while she was in the car with Sean Combs, he asked her to unlock her phone to call her mom. When she unlocked her phone, he grabbed it and fled the vehicle. There wasn't a fight. He was just gone. He was trying to get in it and read what was in my phone. A couple of hours later, Ventura's mom called the police because her daughter returned home with no phone. Then the phone was eventually returned later that day. Estevao asked whether Sean Combs went through Cassie's phone and called someone. I believe so. I wasn't there, she said. And that was a professional NFL player, right? Estevao asked. He was at the time. I don't know if he is now, she said. Cassie explained that she didn't consider it cheating and that Sean got very jealous and possessive when she started dating other people. I don't know that I would call it cheating. When you're not with someone, it's not cheating, but that's technically in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, Cassie said. Let's see. In court, there were 2 instances where he suspected she was cheating. He found out you were dancing with another person in the entertainment industry. Let's see. But hold on a minute. I already went through that. Combs formed Dainty Kane with Andrea Fimbris, D. Wood, Shannon Bex, Richard and O'Day. The pop group disbanded and reunited several times since their formation, but most notably with O'Day being removed from the group in 2008, although she later returned. Later, O'Day became a fierce critic of her former boss and has publicly praised his girlfriend Cassie among her testimony during the trial. Jurors heard audio recorded by Cassie at an unspecified date in which she threatens to have someone killed over videos that they may have of a freak off. Talking on the phone to someone, she said she had a video of her. She said, "The video of me touching myself is important to my life. You have it. Why won't you show me? Where is it? You have it or you don't have it?" She continued, asking the person who she was having sex with in the video and threatening to kill the person possessing the video. The argument continued to escalate, with Cassie saying she will cut him up and put him in the dirt and claiming, "You don't understand. I will kill you because you're playing games with me. And it's not going to be blood on my hands. Someone else is going to do it." Asked by the defense whether Combs supported her in making sure the freak-off videos wouldn't get released, she replied, "I would say for the most part, yeah." In another instance, Cassie suspected that an escort named Jonathan Odie was recording a freak-off. She said she told Sean Combs about her suspicions, and Combs said, "I'll take care of it." So they had a sex video of you been released? That would have been embarrassing, right? Said Estevao. "For sure," Cassie said. Okay, in 2018, Cassie broke up with Combs the same year she started dating her now husband. During the cross-examination, she didn't confirm a specific date. She did confirm, though, that she had told Combs in the past it was over, despite eventually getting back together with him. She confirmed that she and Sean Combs still communicated somewhat after they broke up in 2018. "Can I not get a chance to get things right?" Sean texted, "It seems like you're blaming everything on me." Cassie said she needed to talk to her family because she needed their support and that he took care of her financially but not in other ways. "I just don't trust anymore." She texted, "You wanted me to be a machine and forgive you every time." In the breakup timeline discussion, Cassie says in a text referring to Sean Combs' ex-girlfriend Gina, "This was the last shot, put the nail in the coffin," and that she never went away after seeing a photo of Gina and Combs together, noting that Combs continued to get back with Gina and cheat on Cassie in past years. Asked about what she said in her civil suit about the R, Cassie said she testified they had dinner at an Italian restaurant before the alleged R. She said she didn't remember if she said he forced himself into her home in the lawsuit. She then asked if she wondered about if Sean Combs was in a bipolar episode during the R, and she confirmed that she did. Combs' lawyer asked about her feelings for Combs in September of 2018, with her saying there were still feelings there. As for her feelings for Combs now, she says, I don't hate him, and I have love for the past and what it was. Let's see. As the questioning continued, the defense tried to poke holes in the timeline of Diddy's alleged R of Cassie. As she noted in a November 2023 lawsuit, on August 21st of 2018, Sean Combs texted Cassie, I know I look bad to you. I didn't turn you on yesterday. I fell off. You saw Mr. Combs the day before this message? Estevao asked Cassie a few days after she texted back, I'm so heartbroken. Combs responded, me too, have a good night. The implication was that they had a breakup conversation within those few days. However, defense attorneys say that in a November 2023 conversation with prosecutors, Cassie has recalled this incident occurred after Sean Combs got home from Burning Man in September of 2018. In the interview, she's described going to dinner with Sean Combs during the alleged R, saying that he was acting strangely and that he seemed anxious. You told the prosecutors you didn't think Mr. Combs was in his right mind because he wouldn't stop when you told him to, Estevao said. According to the defense, Cassie told prosecutors in April of 2025 that the R occurred in August of 2018, seemingly different from what she told them a year and a half prior. In November of 2018, when Diddy's ex, Kim Porter, who's the mother of 4 of Combs' 7 children, died unexpectedly from pneumonia, Cassie flew to Georgia and attended her memorial service. While there, Combs texted her asking why Cassie left the service without saying goodbye. She responded, insisting that she did. I know how crazy and painful all this is, but you posted that Kim was your soulmate. What was the 11 years all about? The defense asked whether Cassie found that extremely hurtful, and she said yes. She said she never saw Sean Combs after that. He tried to get in touch through mutual friends, but she rebuffed his advances. Cassie revealed that in 2024 she'd gone to Willow House, which is an Arizona addiction treatment center for rehab, where she had no phone as part of the facility's rules for the 45-day program. She also revealed that she had been taking buprenorphine for opiate addiction since 2022. She said she wrote her book after treatment, and that while she began writing, while she was at the White House, it wasn't really an idea. She confirmed that the center treats sex addiction, sexual compulsion, and love addiction. But she wasn't treated for any of those during her stay. She said she received neurofeedback therapy, which involves putting an electrical device on her head, but she said she probably did this 5 or 6 times, about once a week, while she was there, explaining she believed the therapy was meant to help with her trauma. She also did EMDR therapy during her stay and said it was part of the trauma treatment to help her recount memories and process them Some of the treatment involved reimagining a traumatic experience, which she likened to imagining walking out of a room if you were being beaten up in that room and couldn't leave. Okay. As the cross-examination came to close, the jury was shown the 2012 text from Cassie that indicated she did not want to continue freak-offs. Want to freak off one last time? Combs wrote, to which she responded, "What?" He replied, "You don't know how to read?" "I don't want to freak off for our last time. I want it to be the first time for the rest of our lives," she texted. As the redirect began, prosecutors pulled up the same text conversation and highlighted another point in the same string where she said she discussed having a UTI. "I don't want to do one last time. I don't want to at all," she said. The prosecution asked what she was referring to, and she said freak-offs. On March 7, 2020, Sean wrote, "I'm so happy for you," in a text exchange. Combs and Cassie sent well wishes and mutual love to both of their families. Combs sent another text that said, "You were there for me through everything." He called her the greatest woman in the world, and that his best friend as well, as a ride or die always. Combs wrote he had been reflecting. Cassie had texted in response, "I wouldn't have been at this beautiful point in my life without having been with you. The things you said blew my mind a little bit." On the stand, Cassie said Sean Combs had said all the things she had wanted to hear from him for a long time in the text message conversation. She expressed hope that they could sit down and get some closure. "I'll always love you." He texted, "We're honestly lucky to be alive. We went hard." He continued to write that God watched over them and he's glad Cassie found her husband. "I send this message with all respect to your marriage," he wrote. In November of 2023, Cassie filed a civil lawsuit against Sean, and she was preparing for a tour to start later that year in Australia and New Zealand, but defense noted she canceled the tour after settling the $20 million lawsuit. "You didn't need it anymore, is that right?" Esteveos asked Cassie. "That wasn't the reason why," she said. Esteveo pulled up a social media post from May of 2024 after the Intercontinental Hotel video showing Combs hitting, kicking, and dragging her was released. On Instagram, Ventura thanked her followers for their outpouring of support, and she ended the caption writing, "Domestic violence is the issue, and whether she still feels violence is the issue." Ventura said, "Yeah, she does." Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson asked whether Cassie would give the $20 million settlement, give back the $20 million settlement she received from Combs if it meant erasing her past freak-offs. She said she started tearing up and agreed, "I would give back that money if I never had to have freak-offs." As she started to sob, she continued, "I would have had the agency and autonomy. I wouldn't have to work so hard to get it back." Emily Johnson then drove home the suffering Cassie allegedly experienced at Sean's hands, asking how it felt to have Combs beat her up during freak-offs or to have an escort urinate in her mouth. Ugh. Through her tears, she assured, "You can continue, you can go on." After Johnson repeated her question, She said worthless, just like dirt, like I didn't matter to him, that I was nothing, absolutely nothing. The judge, Subramanian, struck a portion of Cassie's testimony when questioned by federal prosecutors about her and Sean Combs' freak-offs. Cassie testified that Sean took quite a bit of work calls during freak-offs. When asked how often and how many times by prosecutors, she said every time. Combs also canceled work meetings for freak-offs, but Cassie did not unless she was told to. On redirect, the prosecution returned to the defense's earlier topic of Cassie's financial situation in 2023. Suing Sean in November of 2023 had her feeling overwhelmed and she couldn't go forward with her planned tour, and she said she explained the lawsuit was her addressing the past the way she chose to, and it was her way to reclaim that part of her life. Estevao kept questioning Cassie. They said she made a legal demand for the company that owned that since shuttered Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. She hasn't received any money yet, but she testified that she expects roughly $10 million maybe after reaching the end of negotiations over the past month. IHG Hotels and Resorts declined to comment. Okay. Some of the discovery was a plastic bag filled with Johnson & Johnson baby oil, 5 bottles of baby oil, and lubricant standing together on the floor of the bathtub, though this was not all of the baby oil and lubricant they found. A Louis Vuitton bag with a bottle of clonazepam, a benzodiazepine that is used for anxiety and seizures, which was prescribed to Sean Combs, alias Frank Black. 2 bottles of a lubricant in the right nightstand drawer, a bottle of medication in the left nightstand with 2 clear plastic bags filled with pink substance. One of the bags tested positive for ketamine and the other for a mixture of MDMA and ketamine. Fanny pack hanging off the bed with $9,000 in cash, cell phones belonging to Combs and Christina KK Coram, who has been described as Combs' right hand. Okay, that's all I'm doing for tonight. I am so sorry. I have to go to sleep. I'll do the word cookie. And then let's hope it's a short one. Hi, Mary Higgins. What do you know? Can anyone tell me where I can find these transcripts? You can find them anywhere. Just look up transcripts. Just go to Google and put transcripts to the Diddy trial. Okay. Let's see here. Ouch. Guys, let me see. I'm so tired. I have to go to sleep. I'm so sorry. I will try to do a little more tomorrow, but at least I covered both things. All right, I'll finish the game tomorrow and auction tomorrow. Love you guys. God bless. Prayers and be good.